اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد.
اللهم صل وسلم عليه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Allah is a proper name belonging only to the one Almighty God, Creator and Sustainer of the heavens and the earth and all that is within them, the eternal and absolute, to whom alone all worship is due. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim are two names of Allah. Derive from the word Ragma opening parenthesis mercy closing parenthesis. In Arabic grammar, both are intensive forms of merciful, i.e., extremely merciful. A complementary and comprehensive meaning is intended by using both together. Ragman is used only to describe Allah, while Rahim might be used to describe a person as well. The Prophet was described in the Quran as Rahim. Ragman is above the human level, i.e., intensely merciful, since one usually understands intensity to be something of short duration. Allah describes himself also as Rahim, i.e., continually merciful. Since one usually understands intensity to be something of short duration, Allah describes himself also as Rahim, i.e., continually merciful. Ragman also carries a wider meaning, merciful to all creation. Justice is a part of this mercy. Rahim includes the concept of speciality, especially and specifically merciful to the believers. Forgiveness is a part of this mercy. In addition, Ragman is adjectival, referring to an attribute of Allah and is part of his essence. Rahim is verbal, indicating what he does bestowing and implementing mercy.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. When referring to Allah, Subminahu Washington Dajla, the Arabic term Rabb, translated as Lord, includes all the following meanings: owner, master, ruler, controller, sustainer, provider, guardian, and caretaker. Awamdu means praise, because of the good given by the praised one, or because of a virtue he possesses. All the blessings that have been felt and obtained in this world are from Allah, because he is the source of all blessings. Only Allah has the attributes of perfection, therefore Allah alone deserves to be praised. The one who says Alhamdu Lillah not only recognizes that the praise is for Allah alone, but with his words he praises Allah. Rabb means owner, manager, and caretaker. It contains the meaning of educating, which is to convey something to a perfect state gradually. Alaman means all of nature, i.e. all kinds of creatures. There are many types of nature, the plant world, the animal world, the human world, the material world, the world of spirits, such as angels, jinn, and other worlds. Thus, God is the educator of the entire realm. Nothing of God's creatures is independent of his upbringing. God educates his creatures in the widest sense of the word. As an educator, he grows, maintains, provides power, energy, and weapons to the creatures, for the perfection of their respective lives. Whoever watches the course of the stars, investigates the life of plants, and animals in the sea and on the land, studies the growth of man from his mother's womb to childhood, then becomes a perfect human being, knows that nothing of God's creatures is independent of his care, providence, nurture, and guidance.
الرحمن الرحيم.
He is the compassionate one, the owner and source of the attribute of love, who bestows all kinds of gifts, both great and small, on all creatures, the merciful one who always ceaselessly gives love and kindness to those who believe. He is the Lord of all worlds, so to remind the servant of the manifold favors and bounties that he has bestowed upon him, as well as his eternal attributes and love. He repeats Ar-Rahman once more. This is so that the image of fierceness and injustice, such as lordly and arbitrary kings, disappears from the servant's mind. Allah reminds us in this verse that the divine nature of Allah towards his servants is not one of ferocity and injustice, but based on love and compassion. Thus man will love his Lord and worship God with a secure and calm heart, free from fear and anxiety. Instead, he will learn from the attributes of God.
مالك يوم الدين.
i.e., repayment and compensation for whatever was earned of good or evil during life on this earth. He is the sole owner of the day of judgment and reckoning of all deeds, which is the day of resurrection. His ownership of that day is absolute and not shared by anything. After Allah mentions some of his attributes, namely, Lord of the worlds, the most compassionate, the most merciful, he then mentions one more of his attributes, namely, Master of the Day of Judgment. The mention of this verse is intended to show that Allah's dominion over this world does not stop here, but continues until the last day. There are also those who do not believe in the hereafter. Listen to what one of their poets said: to live, then to die, then to be resurrected is a fairy tale, oh so and so. Therefore, Islam came along, bringing the certainty of the existence of a later day. On that day, all the deeds that people have done during their lives, big or small, will be judged.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
On the basis of all that, it is only to you that we worship and serve with sincerity, solemnity and submission, and it is only to you that we ask for help in all our affairs and circumstances. We strive hard. In the previous verses, 4 kinds of Allah's attributes were mentioned, namely, the educator of the worlds, the compassionate, the merciful, and the master of the day of recompense. The attributes mentioned are attributes of perfection that only Allah possesses. Therefore, in this verse Allah teaches his servants that Allah alone is worthy of worship, and that it is to him that people should turn for help, and that his servants should make such a vow. So the meaning of this verse is, only to you do we worship, and only to you do we seek help. Iyaka is repeated twice in this verse too, emphasize that worship and istiana asking for help closing parenthesis dot are each specific to Allah and to dot achieve the delicacy of talking with Allah. For a servant of Allah who worships dot with all his soul and body, there is nothing more enjoyable and dot delicious than communing with Allah. It is as if we are saying, O Allah, the one who is wajibul wujud, who is endowed with all the attributes of perfection, who guards and maintains the entire world, who bestows his mercy and bounty abundantly. You alone do we worship, and to you alone do we look for help, for you alone are worthy of worship, and you alone can help us. Scrat off ta contains the verse of talking Allah dot in the manner described, which is the secret of the dot obligation to recite it in each rak'ah of the prayer, because its soul is the munajat comma dot by confronting and focusing on Allah. Scrat off tiga gives birth to an expression of love for one's Lord, a person who thinks about the natural world, who pays attention to the course of the stars, the life of plants, animals, and humans, and even to himself, is convinced that there is a supernatural being who controls this world, who is endowed with all the attributes of perfection, namely the Almighty Kamat, the Compassionate, the All-Knowing, and so on.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
We ask, show us the straight path and establish us on it, which is the right way of life, which can make us happy in this world and in the hereafter and can lead us to your pleasure. Lead, show, guide. The meaning of hidayah is to show a way, or a way to convey people to the person they are aiming at in a good way. Types of hidayah guidance. Allah has given mankind various kinds of guidance. Asterisk inner and outer guidance. Asterisk dot. What is the straight path? Above it has been explained that the messengers have brought accurate beliefs, laws, regulations, morals, and lessons. In short, the messengers brought everything necessary for the happiness of human life in this world and the hereafter. We have been commanded to follow the path of those before us, for the religion of Allah is one in every age, namely faith in Allah and His Messenger, and the last day.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
That is the way of those whom you have favored with faith, guidance, and your pleasure. They are the prophets whom Allah has chosen for guidance as well as being tasked to lead humanity towards the divine truth. Then, Siddiqan, those who are always true and honest, not tainted by falsehood, nor take a stance contrary to the truth. The third, Shuhada, those who testify to the truth and virtue through their words and actions, even at the cost of their lives, or those whose truth and virtue are witnessed by Allah, the angels, and their surroundings. And Salihan, Ye righteous people who are strong in virtue and always strive to realize it. The path we ask for is not the path of those who are wrathful, who know the truth, but do not follow and practice it, and even oppose it, like some of the Jews, and those who follow their ways. Nor is it the path of those who are astray from the path of truth and goodness, like some of the Christians, and those who follow them, because they are reluctant to believe and follow your guidance. After Allah SWT taught his servants to ask him to always be guided to the straight and true path, in this verse Allah explains what the straight path is. Before the Quran was revealed, Allah set down his other holy books, and before the Prophet Muhammad was sent, Allah set down messengers, because before this current Ummah there were many previous Ummas. Among the former nations were the prophets, the Kikan who confirmed the messengers truthfully and obediently, the martyrs who sacrificed their lives and property for the honor of Allah's religion, and the righteous who did good and avoided the prohibitions of Allah. They are the ones whom Allah has favored, and we are taught to ask him for guidance, just as he has guided them. This means that just as they have been happy in their aqd, in observing the laws and regulations of the religion, and in having noble morals and ethics, so should we. In other words, Allah tells us to follow the example of those who came before us. In history, there are many people whom Allah has wrathfully punished since they were in this world as inappropriate retribution for their denial and arrogance. For example, the people of and Amud who were destroyed by Allah. Until now there are still traces of their legacy in the Arabian Peninsula. So did Pharaoh and his people who were destroyed by Allah. In the Red Sea, Pharaoh's mummy, still kept in a museum in Egypt. There are many incidents in history that can be used as a lesson. There are many verses in the Quran that relate the stories of former peoples and nations. Indeed, nothing has a greater effect on the human spirit and the examples of people and comparisons found in stories and history.